Recommendations for the U.S. population to be vaccinated against bird flu.
A rural Colorado County courthouse has heightened security measures after threats were made against staff and a judge who sentenced former county clerk Tina Peters to nearly 9 years in prison.
The judge reprimanded her for her involvement in a data breach scheme spurred by false claims that the 2020 election was stolen from former President Donald Trump.
12 people were killed in a series of coordinated near-simultaneous attacks in the violence-plagued city of Salamanca.
The bodies were discovered Thursday at various locations in the refinery city.
Country music superstar Garth Brooks has been accused of rape and sexual assault in a new lawsuit.
The lawsuit, filed by a plaintiff identified as Jane Roe, was submitted to the California Supreme Court in Los Angeles County on Thursday.
The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host or guest and should not be interpreted as statement of fact. Independent fact-checking discretion are encouraged.
Can we get a cup of coffee in here, please?
That's the show for you. Thanks for coming. Enjoy your Tuesday or Wednesday or the rest of the week.
Damn good coffee. And hot.
My dog is your mind's best friend.
My dog is your mind's best friend.
Wake up, America. You've got a dog that needs walking. That's right, sunshine. Just put on a big pot of strong coffee and get ready to type your little hate mail with your opinions about kumbaya and flat earth insanity. Stand-up comedy? You want stand-up comedy? Well, we've got sit-down comedy. It's time for Coffee with a Dog. You make me laugh.
Nothing to laugh about. There really, maybe you got a better sense of humor than I do. There's nothing to laugh about. What's funny? I don't know. Just waiting for the band to stop being so funny. Sorry about the microphone noise there. It won't happen again until the next time it happens. Good Monday morning, freaks and deviants and rotten people of Earth. Deplorables, as they say. That's what we all are, aren't we? It's Monday. It's October. It's gray. It's rainy. Leaves are starting to fall. And I'm bummed. I am just bummed. It is actually Monday, October 7th, 2024, the year anniversary of the war that's going on in the Middle East between Israel and some groups that are affiliated with different countries. Say Israel against other people war. It's been going on for a year. This is the anniversary of the day my parents actually met. 100 years ago or whatever. I don't know why that came into my mind, but it did. And I don't see anything really funny going on in the world today. We are supposed to have the greatest comedian who ever lived on at 11 o'clock today, hour 3. We don't generally even have an hour 3. We have a half hour 3. Oh man, my brain hurts. I just can't. I just can't anymore. Anyway, so the greatest comedian who ever lived is supposed to be here later on today. But you know what? Things can happen. Things could screw up, and we might just sit through this waiting for the greatest comedian who ever lived, and then he doesn't show up. I'm experimenting with something here this morning. I have not published or shared the show on Twitter, and I refuse to call it X. And that starts today. I just want to see if there's any difference in the numbers. If there isn't, I'm going to close my account because I cannot take that platform. It's just Elon Musk's personal propaganda network, and I just can't take it anymore. So I really want to get off of there, but I have used it to promote. From the moment I first started doing this stuff, Twitter was the probably the biggest source of traffic that we got from the show. We used to stream on Twitter. I stopped that because he wanted me to pay for that. So that's not happening. But if after a week of not promoting it on Twitter and I don't see any change in the numbers, I'm going to close my Twitter account and just get off of there. It is toxic. It is a toxic cesspool of not just right wing, Trump wing, because Trump does not represent the Republican Party. He took over the Republican Party, but his brand of right wing stuff is not. It's not what the right wing used to be, and hopefully someday it will get back to what it used to be, and we can have a functional disagreement in ideologies rather than just a cult and a party, which is the world we live in today. If you're not aware, the Supreme Court goes back into session today, and they have three big issues in front of them. One of them, I agree totally. This may come to as a shock to people, knowing where I've been leaning for the last since 2016. But I agree with the conservatives on one of these issues, and that issue is porn, and that people should have real age verification, not just click a button that says, yeah, I'm 18, I can watch this porn. I think that's what they want in Texas. That case is coming in front of the court. Now, the conservatives are going to be on the side of, yeah, Texas should implement that. That's a good thing. And the other side is going to argue, no, it's not a good. Why? What's the argument about letting kids have free, easy access to porn? We've had that for more than 30 years. Has society gotten better in those 30 years, or has it gotten crazier and worse? My take on that is it's gotten a lot worse. I'm not going to put all the blame on kids watching porn, but certainly ass eating wasn't a thing before kids. We've infected kids with shock value. You know, you can't just. It's not just sex. It's like let's just make sex like the craziest ideas that you can come up with. It's like Ron Kane is feeding the porn industry ideas with his TikTok feed. That's what's going on. And I have no problem with consenting adults going down Ron Kane Alley and just like covering themselves with chocolate and cheese or whatever weird shit they want to do. But when it comes to children, especially small children, I think you can infect small minds with just deviant behavior. And I don't think they're ready for that. It's kind of like alcohol and drugs and all that kind of stuff. Your mind is not fully developed as a child, and I don't think you're prepared to deal with adult things as a child. So I'll probably take some heat from my position on that. That's the one place where I really side with the conservatives lately. Another thing that is going to come up is a ban on ghost guns that have no serial number on it and can easily be made into an automatic weapon with a kit. Now, conservatives are fighting that ban on ghost guns. I mean, nobody's trying. This is not a gun grab. This is what people are using to, when even Trump talks about this, people being outmanning cops with weaponry. That's what these are illegal guns that or guns without a serial number that can be made into heavy duty military type firepower to overpower police. I'm all for that ban, but the conservatives are that's a violation of the Second Amendment. Can't remember what the other big court case that's coming up It'll come to me during the show. Anyway, yeah, kind of a somber anniversary, a kind of a somber weekend for me. Not a great one. The Rev had a show Saturday night. Seemed to be a little bit off his game yesterday. He seemed like maybe it's my fault. Maybe I jinxed him into this by saying, "Don't are you going to be tired the next day?" He seemed a little tired yesterday morning, and so was I. So everybody seems tired when you're tired. Or, no, not my wife. My wife seems full of energy when I'm tired. So I take that back. I don't know what I'm saying. I just should quit now. Get off the show. Leave. Stevie is not with us this morning. He's using an excuse that he has no internet, but I have a feeling it might be he's chasing a kid who tried to escape his dungeon where he keeps the kids. We'll find out. Maybe in the news, maybe there'll be something in the news about that. We have come to a place, and let me just say this. I don't know how I can tell you how I feel about this. If you believe that climate change is a hoax, but that the Democratic Party can control the weather, you are too stupid for me, really. Well, you should delete yourself from my life in every aspect, not just social media, not just online. Personally, do not ever say hello to me. You're just too stupid to breathe. If you believe, listen, what you're saying is that your party is too stupid to control the weather, but the other party is controlling the weather. Hurricanes happen, of course, but severe hurricanes are definitely on the rise. Storms everywhere. Climate change, I hate to break it to you, is happening before your eyes, and you're in denial of that. But you see it happening, and you want to blame it on politics. I guarantee you, people who live in the other parts of the world who are getting hit by very strong storms are not saying, well, it's the American Democratic Party that is doing this to us. It's just because you have lunatics and crazy people in politics right now in one certain party. Stephen must have heard me talking about him because I think he's trying to pop in there. Still no pictures, so maybe not. Anyway, again, we're hopeful to have the greatest comedian who ever lived with us at 11 p.m. Eastern time today. He might not make it, so we'll see. If he does make it, I am hopeful. Why am I so negative? He's going to make it, right? He's going to make it. But in the meantime, I think I want to push Opus Clip. Opus Clip, if you don't know, if you've seen my little dopey reels that everybody's delivering hate on, if you want to be hated like me, if you got a long-form video that you'd like to edit, or you're not really a great video editor but want some AI help in editing videos, Opus Clip is for you. The link is in the description. It's the bottom link under our sponsors, Opus Clip. Check it out.
Dreams do come true. I am showering on Netflix.
All right, get out of my face. Get out of my face. Get out of my face. Look who's stealing my spot today. Good morning, gentlemen. In the room with me now are Ron, the deviant weather controlling freak, Kane, and my best friend of the last 37 years, Miss J.K. Rowling. J.K., good morning.
Good morning, America. MindDogTV.com. In 4 weeks, you can make Matt Napo your representative in Washington. Like his slogan says, you can do worse. But why would you?
Exactly.
MindDogTV.com. Support your local mercenaries and enjoy the suffering.
Now, there must be something wrong with my monitor because here I'm looking very dark and gloomy, but over there I'm looking just about right with the lighting over there. So I don't know. Something happened when we went to dark mode on StreamYard. Something weird happened. Stevie is.
You think that's bad? Try going darky mode on X.
Okay.
See what you get.
Stevie's with us. He must. Oh, he's not with us. He just looked like he was with us, but he's not with us. Speaking of dark, that's very weird. And he's in my spot. He's gone. He's gone. Something's wrong with Stevie, and I feel bad for him on that. You guys, I just want to know, how do you go about controlling the weather? I know you two are behind it, but controlling the weather, what are you doing?
Well, I'm going to let Ron go first because he's actually the authority on this. I'm just his acolyte.
He's the guy who's doing it, right? It's Ron. It's all Ron's doing.
But yeah.
Something like that. Hey, if you can't control the weather, what's the point?
What is the point exactly?
See, the thing is, he's being modest. The whole point, the whole method behind controlling weather is he seeds the clouds. He spreads his seed all over the clouds, and it rains. Everybody knows about cloud seeding.
Cloud feeding.
Seeding. SEEDING.
Oh, all right. Not everybody knows about it. I did not know about it. I still don't know about it. But fine. Now let's go directly to porn. Shall we? Shall we go directly to porn? I have a feeling.
I just want to address one thing in the Reverend's defense. It wasn't his fault. It was my fault. It's not that he was tired. I uploaded the wrong information into his teleprompter. So I uploaded the script from Blessings and Blasphemy from Saturday night. And it's similar to what he was going to do Sunday, but the sermons are totally different. So he had no sermon. So he had to kind of like wing it.
What was the sermon supposed to be again? No, I forget.
About Jimmy Carter, about turning 100. It was about Jimmy
Carter, right? Jimmy Carter.
But that was the takeoff point, and it was just basically going to go from there to about getting old gracefully and how productive he was as an ex-president as opposed to other ex-presidents.
Productive, schmeductive. There's no such thing as going old gracefully. But I was in a nursing home yesterday, and everybody was as grumpy as me. Usually they lift my spirits. Yesterday they were really cranky. It's a Sunday afternoon, and they were in a bad mood. But it wasn't. None of us felt like we were growing old gracefully. I don't know what that. Yeah, go out.
Growing old gracefully is a euphemism for die rich.
Oh. Well, that's not going to happen in my case, so can't happen.
Probably are not going to grow old gracefully. You're going to be grumpy to the very end.
So I would say that's a very commendable thing for you to throw yourself on the sword for the Reverend. But bottom line is the buck stops here, and it's his show. And he did seem a little off his game yesterday. He didn't blame you. You're taking the blame upon yourself. But as a responsible broadcaster, I'm certain he probably would take it on himself to acknowledge it's his responsibility to make sure his team is up to snuff.
He probably would take responsibility if it was his fault, but it was my fault. he would do the same for me. He would. Would. If it were his fault, he would blame me.
So whose fault do you think it is that Stevie can't let himself in the room?
Oh, it's his fault because he didn't pay his bills. Bitch ain't pay his bills.
No, yeah. What was he was spending money on other stuff though, wasn't he? He was doing what was he doing? He just bought
buying power cords. He bought like 5 power cords.
Wow.
He bought a bunch of airport food. He just
all right, you snitch. Listen, I ain't never wasted
my
spot cords.
Don't take my spot.
What up, guys? Good morning.
You came in
No.
just at the right time because this is all what I want to talk about is all about you and your hobbies. The porn the porn it's not a ban on porn. It's insisting that people have a reliable, a stronger age verification, and the conservatives want that in Texas, and liberals are fighting against that. This is one time where I have to agree with the conservatives that you should have to prove you're 21 years old. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it should be 18, not 21. Because if you can be sent overseas to die, you should be able to jerk off to somebody getting boned. Two, yeah, I mean, how can you be against keeping kids off of pornography? If you're against that, you're a pedophile. There's no other way to put it.
I'm sorry, Steve. By your logic, if you're then children in elementary school should be able to sign on to porn because they're old enough to go to school and be shot, just like somebody else.
No, listen.
I'm just saying.
You choose to sign up for the military and go, at least nowadays.
Well, kids don't have that right. Kids don't have to say so. They're being forced to go to school.
Forced to go. That's
right.
different.
That's right. It's right. So if they are forced to go to school and they don't have a choice about being there, but they can be shot, then why can't they watch porn? I'm just being devil's advocate. I'm not condoning it.
The difference is an 18-year-old that's being sent overseas to die also has the means to kill somebody else. They're not like fish in a barrel.
So do kids.
I just want to say, if anybody in the audience wants to buy Stevens send him some money. He's got a Venmo so he can pay for his internet because it seems like he still hasn't quite paid the bill. He sent him like 10 cents and said, "Keep me on for a few seconds." Yeah.
Oh, the bill is like a month ahead. I don't know what's happening. I'm having issues since last night. I don't know.
He changed service providers. He got it on the hookup from this guy in the van.
Yeah.
No shame. You've heard the joke. The guys in vans don't want me.
Yeah. There's no shame in not paying your internet bill. I would recommend that everybody stop paying their internet bill right now and never pay for it again. Yeah. So this whole idea about kids seeing it, though, I can't understand why somebody would argue that would be a bad thing. I mean, that's what it seems. What?
It's bullshit. Because states that are supposed to be free, like Texas, they already have blocks in place for just fucking normal people. This is all about control. This is for the same people that cannot take responsibility for their own lives.
That's fine.
Like, oh, everything is the kids are going to do that. Everything is about the kids because they use that as an excuse to take shit away from you. And
so what is the harm of making people choose that they're 18?
What this comes down to, it's personal freedom. And how about parents be fucking parents? You can limit your kids' time on devices. You can limit what they see on their devices. They don't need a phone. And honestly, if a kid fucking wants it, they will find it. And saying that we're going to add age verification, it's just putting a Band-Aid on a broken dam already.
So you're against age verification for anything and everything?
Yeah, because
a kid should be able to go into a liquor store, no questions asked.
What kids are going into doing that?
Huh?
How many kids are going into a liquor store every day and buying liquor? How many kids are going into a store every day to buy fucking cigarettes? How many kids every day are going to
they would. The problem is they can't. They need proof. That's why they're not. You making a case against.
They just need an unscrupulous adult to do it for them.
Right.
Here's the thing. At the end of the day, I don't think age verification is preventing the freedom. Because here's the thing, they're not telling you can't watch porn. They're not telling you can't buy alcohol or anything else. They're saying you have to verify you're old enough to have it. I think, though, if you're 18, consider you an adult, you should be allowed access to everything.
Yeah, I think you got to go and change your wire, man, to the house next door or something. And we can't hear you. really. So we're 35 years plus now of internet, where anybody at any age could access the wildest porn. You think society has gotten better in any
It's
way?
not. Yeah, no, society hasn't gotten better, and it's not because of fucking porn. It's because of devices. If you go out to a restaurant or like even just a store when parents have their kids, I get probably like 9 out of 10 kids are sitting in the cart and they have a fucking iPad or a phone right next to their eyes the entire time. That's
Right.
what parents do. You go out to a restaurant, there's parents there with the kids. The fucking kid is on a device just looking down. The parents are ignoring the kid.
I would say that's
not
bad
a problem.
parenting as well. I would agree that that's bad parenting, but that is
That is the
nothing.
main cause. That is the root cause. It ain't fucking, "Oh, I gotta see your license because I wanna see a
That's
dick
the
go
root
into a
cause
vagina."
of rape culture, and because young men whose brains are not fully developed, and this is an actual scientific fact that teenagers' brains are not fully developed until the age of actually it's like 25 where your brain becomes fully developed. People who are uh, susceptible to becoming conditioned to ideas that are presented to them at an early age are seeing mock rapes and all this kind of deviant, really bad behavior. And I can't imagine why you would want to encourage that.
What you're saying is you're assuming that all kids are watching porn, and you're saying it's rape culture. Then why should kids even be on Instagram
I'm
or
not
like
assuming
TikTok?
that.
Because you're saying that the porn is ruining these kids, and we have to verify. It's not the porn. And if you're talking about rape culture, you could just go on Reels, and you can sit here. You can see these videos of dudes that are just talking like, "This is how you're supposed to
So
do this."
you're making a case for stopping kids from watching all that stuff, and I would not argue against that either. I would say that's fine.
That's
I
yeah, but
think that
I think that's what
children should have to behave like children and should be restricted from adult things.
but then you'd actually have to parent. So you're trying to put a band-aid on a broken dam. This is
Right.
to me, this is how it starts. You say, "Oh yeah, we'll do this." Then it'll become then it's like, "Oh, now you need to do for Facebook and blah blah blah." No, it's the parents and the adults that are the terrible people. They can't take responsibility for their own lives.
Well,
And to
well,
sit there and to say, "Oh, we got to verify," and like Texas is the biggest joke. "Oh, we're all about personal freedom." Well, except maybe for your porn. Go fuck yourself, Texas.
Porn and THC.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Uh,
that is the downfall of society. Like this, man. We lived through this bullshit. You remember, like in the '80s, it was fucking heavy metal, the devil. No, man, those were dudes that were just trying to get pussy, and that was the angle then. Then in the fucking '90s, oh, it's the video games. It's the video games. No, it's bullshit. This is people that are just avoiding to be parents. This is
I I
big
disagree.
government.
You can't parent 24/7. Your kids are out of control. Listen, if I wanted to score liquor when I was a kid, there were age restrictions on it. There still are age restrictions on it. You couldn't freely buy it. But if I could, anytime I was out of my parents' sight, you can't say, "Well, that's bad parenting." You got to be with your kid 24/7 and not allow them that.
So we should do this. What Speaker Mike Johnson does is pull up your porn sites with your
No, I'm
kids
not
and sit
saying
down
that.
and say, "Hey,
No, I'm saying
you
just
got
to
to go visit
make a
Neil
kid put a
Richardson's
credit
house."
card number in there to prove he's 18.
No, just have
Why?
that.
You
Be a fucking parent.
you
Stop.
can't be a.
Government doesn't
Are
need
you with
the
your kids
government.
24/7?
No one is, and kids will
No
get
one
back.
is exactly.
And so you should limit everything to kids. They can't get. If a kid wants it, they'll get it. This is just the same
If a
bullshit
kid wants to
for.
buy a gun,
This
are
is
you
the
for
same.
that? They should
This
be
is the
able to buy a gun
same.
at any age.
Yeah, people can buy a gun at any age. Go to a Walmart.
Not no, not New York.
Go
You
to
can't buy a
Florida.
gun if you're under 18.
Go to Florida.
Well,
Let's be
They
honest.
still
You want a
restrict
you
gun
get more.
purchases.
But you're for
They
that.
still restrict
You are definitely for that, is what you're saying. A kid should be able to have You shouldn't have to be of any age to drive a car. You shouldn't have to be any age to buy a gun, alcohol, any of that stuff. Anything. A kid should have all the
No,
rights adults would have.
what I'm saying is that this story is bullshit. First, we've seen it. You blame music because music is a problem. Blah blah. No, it's not. It's just dudes trying to get pussy and trying to get an angle. In the '90s, like I said, it was all
Nobody
about
was
the video
outlawing
games.
music or putting
Then,
age restrictions on
when
music
the
in the
school
80s.
shooting started, again, when the school shooting started, it was all video games and music. Never once. Oh, maybe we should think about what's this issue with the guns. This, like I said, it's a fucking. This is to make people feel good about themselves. If you want to feel good and live in a shitty society like that, move to Texas. They'll limit your porn for you and everything else. And like GD said, they don't even have fucking good weed down there.
So you're pro child porn.
No, I'm pro that you don't need to put your fucking ID for some company to collect it. It's all it is, because that's how it fucking starts. And
Well,
they'll come up with this bullshit.
If they want to collect that data on you, at least for the home that it's coming from, they have that ability now. You just every time you sign up for internet service, you're putting your IP address and your dedicated IP address into a record. If they want to trace you for that, you've given that up the second you signed up for the internet.
Well, I mean, you give it up as soon as you have a social security number, because then you're on the grid.
Right. So what is the plus side of allowing children access to porn?
How many kids are watching porn every day?
I bet a lot. I don't know the
I caught my 11-year-old. We caught my 11-year-old watching it.
Yeah,
but y'all call that home movies in your house, Steve.
And guess what? When my middle son, when he was like 8 or 9, him and his friend got caught looking up like women's boobies or something like that when they were together, because they're two little boys and they have a phone and they look that up. And you know what happened? We had to talk with them. We actually had to talk with our kids and do something. Oh my God.
I agree that parenting is a part of it. I'm not saying we should not have parents be responsible. I'm saying parents are not in control 24/7. And I know from my own childhood, when I'm not being directly supervised by my parents, I got into a lot of trouble and did things I wasn't supposed to do. And if you give me a free way to do it with no checks at my age at all, I would have done everything. I would have gambled. I would have smoked.
Here's the thing here's the thing you gotta keep it in consideration too. Ron, you're 100% right. Parenting is a massive part of it, right? You have to be on top of your kids. You got to keep track of what they're doing. Put the right parental controls on everything. You got to do that. At the same time, yeah, I shouldn't have to tell you who I am to watch dirty movies. 100% shouldn't have to do that.
You do, though.
But there's a lot of gray areas that because of I think the verification is still needed. Because, for example, yes, you can't be with your kids 24/7. Yes, you should have everything on lockdown. But what are you going to do when your kid's riding the bus with a kid who has parents who doesn't give a fuck? Right now, they're watching a chick get gangbanged by 3 dudes. Now they think that's normal and okay and looks fun, and then they rape a girl in the locker room in middle school. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not. I know it's a highly unlikely situation. But but porn in general creates an unhealthy view and an unhealthy idea of what sex is and what sex can be. It doesn't. It's unlike a gun or music where you can just shut it off or put it away. Once you experience that sex the one time and you see how good it feels, and then you start getting it twisted based on all these videos you're watching because you end up in a rabbit hole, you're going to end up in a situation where that kid is just constantly craving it and wanting it and going after it, and it can snowball into like a manic like predator situation. But at the end of the day, is age verification going to stop kids from getting it? No. Are parents being really, 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 really good involved parents going to 100% stop it? No.
This is just to me, it's just backwards thinking. It's this it's pseudo
unfortunate thinking.
Like this is very important. Like, oh, we have to verify if the kids are watching porn. But like when it comes to guns and other shit, you're like, let them be. This is
No,
bullshit.
no.
Once
I'm
again,
saying,
kids aren't
actually,
fucking. I can tell
children
you.
should not have adult rights. That is across the board.
Show
Whether
me the
that's
fucking
going into a
data.
casino and gambling,
me-
whether that's pornography, buying alcohol, buying marijuana, all that stuff, children should not have adult rights.
Show me the data of how many kids are watching porn every day.
I just told you, Ron, it's 6. It's 6. I just told you. You're not listening to
it's
me.
just a guesstimate because this is just some forced agenda of like, oh, let's ignore the real problem. It ain't gonna. This is bullshit. It
So
is straight up bullshit.
you're saying that children should have adult rights across the board?
No, I'm just saying this is bullshit because this is something you give up. Like I said, and you can refer.
You're not giving up. Nobody's asking adults to give up anything.
What about in Texas? They've already fucking banned sites in the fucking shitty states like Indiana, where Steven lives.
Oh, India. So here's the
I don't
thing, though,
think
with that ban. Here's the thing with that ban, right? So yes, a few sites have it where you need to verify, but it's legitimately only like 4 of them. Like they didn't target
that's
all
selective
all porn.
prosecution, but that is not what I'm arguing. That's not. I mean, I am not saying I'm for banning pornography, and definitely not from adults. Consenting adults should be able to access it at their own desire, whatever. I'm saying that children should not be able to access things that adults access across the board. There are lots of areas where we don't want children involved in alcohol, drugs.
And how many times a day does a kid access something that they shouldn't, whether it be porn or something else?
A lot,
fucking day.
but we shouldn't make it easy for them.
Get it.
We shouldn't make it easy for them.
When politicians start coming at you like, "Oh, this is for the kids." No, it's not for the kids. This is
well, show me how who's putting a ban on adult use of porn?
Texas, Indiana. That's the first steps. Yeah.
No, they're not.
If you're a fucking state and you're banning access to a site, what is that?
It sounds like a selective prosecution. You're not. There are still 40,000. That's a guess. There are still 40 billion porn sites out there. The Pornhub is just one of them.
This to me, this is the same thing as like when QAnal, when like all those people were talking about kids and like they're fucking the kids. It's like, no, you're the ones that are fucking the kids, because they're so. When there's politicians come out like, oh, we're so concerned, they're up the dirty shit. It normally is the case. You can see it in religion, because the Jelly Roll can tell you about this. How many reverends are like, oh, sex bad, sex, and they're the ones that are in the sleazy hotels at glory holes doing what the Lord intended.
I don't see that that's on point with children having adult rights. How is that? So you want your kid? You want 4-year-olds to be able to drive a car, get a driver's license?
No, that's ridiculous. This is infringement.
Why? It just goes to sooner or later you're going to have 21-year-olds who can't drive a car.
Why?
This is your argument, that if you start with the children, sooner or later it's going to be the adults.
It always is. And
so you're saying so we should allow 4-year-olds to drive cars? No, that's ridiculous because.
Well, 4-year-olds do drive cars on farms.
We should have them. We should let them drive cars on city streets, and we should let them get a license.
So, should we ban farmers for allowing their young children who do not have licenses?
I think there are laws against that, child endangerment.
Guess what? They fucking do. And has the world collapsed?
Right.
No,
it's not the point. You're advocating for making it. You're advocating for making it legal and making it happen. I'm saying no. We should not make that happen.
But kids do drive cars.
They do. That doesn't mean people kill people. Should we make that legal?
Has the world ended?
No. Should we make murder legal?
It is in some cases. It depends on how much money you have.
That's bullshit. You're just saying basically, yeah, we should, because things happen, we should make them legal across the board.
Now, when I see this is just a sad attempt at control, just like in the '80s when it was music,
Controlling
'90s,
children from
and no,
seeing something
it's
that is
bullshit.
not
Do
good
something.
for them.
If they were actually going to do something about parenting and maybe guns, then it would seem like it would carry some weight. But this is just another desperate attempt at nothing. So the Supreme Court can go fuck themselves because it's a joke.
An average
And if
case
I
of
want to live
crime can't
backwards,
be
I'll move
wrong.
to Texas. But I don't want to live backwards, so I'm not going to move to Texas.
Right. So, but bottom line is, you're for children to have full adult rights across the board. No age limits on anything.
If that makes you feel better, sure. But kids
That's
can
what you're
drive.
arguing for. That's what you're arguing for.
No, I'm just saying not everything needs to be verified. The only time you should really have to verify is when you're uploading content to a porn site. Verification at that point is important because then you could just be putting up child pornography or some shit like that.
Well, what difference does it make child pornography? I mean, they're adults now. You just made them adults. It's just the same as.
That's where the verification process is needed when you're uploading content.
But
just browsing, who gives?
Why is child porn even bad if children are adults? You just made children adults, full rights, full consensual ability. Children can do anything, just according to your argument.
No, I'm saying that you're just. This is a fucking Band-Aid on a dam that is already broke.
Does child porn happen?
No, but if it
child
makes
porn
you
happen?
feel better that you think, oh, this license is going to stop the kids from. No.
Does child porn happen?
Yeah, bad things happen.
Well, it's the same argument as, well, people, it's happening. Well, we might as well just let it happen. That's what you said about farmers letting kids drive cars on farms. That's what you're saying about everything. Kids are gonna do it. Might as well just let it happen. It's happening.
But if you want to believe that a verification, yeah, sure, go ahead, believe that.
I definitely, yeah. If you have to put in a credit card number and not be charged anything, but have a valid credit card number, that would definitely limit or reduce the number of underage kids watching.
No, it won't, because you can still get access to porn no matter what.
It will. I didn't say it would eliminate it. I said greatly reduce it.
And once again, you're like, oh, how many kids are watching porn every day?
A lot.
No, not as much as
if you look up the numbers, it literally ranges. There's no number lower than like 43% is the lowest number I saw from like 18 pages.
You can go with all these data and statistics, or you can look at children who are online who are posting adult ideas about things they learned from pornography. They didn't learn that from fucking their friends on the street. They learned that from porn. If you were never a 9-year-old boy trying to steal your father's fucking penthouse, then you probably are innocent on this level and can't conceive that young boys, especially young boys, would be all over the internet.
But what you're saying too is that parents need to be involved in their kids' lives.
Yes, nobody's arguing that parents should advocate their.
And that's what you fucking need, not a fucking court to tell you. I ain't gonna put in this.
So but basically you're saying you have to parent 24/7 because without that parenting 24/7.
No fucking shit. Parenting.
I mean, yes,
sucks.
you have to parent 24/7, but what do you do in the situations where you can't be there?
Right. That's what I mean. You have to be with your child 24/7, according to what you're
no shit. And what do you think the kids are doing when they're with their friends, especially boys? You're either going to look up a pair of tits and maybe a naked chick, or now with the internet, you're going to look at dudes being beheaded, or you're going to you're on TikTok or Instagram and you're listening to these guys explain how that you're supposed to talk to women and
that's a
shit
good thing.
like that. And it fucking happens. Has the world ended? No.
World has gotten a lot worse under those conditions. I would argue that.
I don't agree. I think
the world will end by the top of the hour.
Yeah. Now I think the world's always been a shitty place, and the only thing the internet does is it brings it to your front door, so you can always see that humans have been shitty to one another, whether it be, treating each other bad or just killing each other. It's the
Right.
one thing. It's the one thing people are so great at. Just
So,
destroying.
again, it comes down to you don't think that there should be any restrictions on child behavior of adults what are typically.
I'm just saying this whole
activities.
thing is a joke and a waste of time. If you actually want to help kids' lives, do something about fucking guns. But guess what? You won't. You won't. You'll blame everything else, but no. This is just bullshit. It's like, do you need a fucking? Should you have an ID when you go buy an album of music?
No, nobody ever proposed that. Nobody ever proposed that. That wasn't even in the 80s in that ratings thing. All they were asking were that, and they were asking for parental guidance to put a parental notice if things had adult content on it. So parents that you're advocating for, parental responsibility, parents could know what their children were buying.
Yeah, but
that's what they asked.
Should you have adult access to an album like 2 Live Crew?
They wanted to put but they weren't asking for kids to show a driver's license. They were asking to put a label on it so that parents could know, which is exactly the case you're making. Parents should be responsible. This was parents saying, how do we know?
And what happened? Did it stop anybody? No. They would just buy it for their fucking kid. Or you'd get it through somebody.
No, it never happened. They never got the law passed. There was never any rating system put in place. That's what
I know that, but what I'm saying is that's how things start. Is that you do this, then because we've seen it with music, we've seen it with everything.
We didn't see it in music. We never saw them trying to outlaw music or make you have age verification to buy music. Never in the history of the United States.
In those times, but why can't that change? Because what you're proposing is like, well, this is okay for porn. Why not for music?
What I'm proposing is we treat it the same as alcohol, drugs, guns, gambling. Those are adult things you need to verify your age for. That's what I'm saying.
Can I interject in 1 second? Can I interject? This is just I don't know who this benefits, but back when Lenny Bruce was being harassed, his comedy routines were for adults. There were no kids in the clubs. And he spoke about adult things like sex and stuff like that. And he was arrested for speaking to adults about adult things. I don't know how this argument helps anybody, benefits anybody. It's just food for thought. That was complete. They were just completely trying to control what even adults were hearing.
Right. But that's not what this is about. This is not about trying to control adults.
But I'm saying, I think Ron's point was that at some point, they're going to overstep.
If that happens, I will be against it. I will be against, and I said I'm against.
Yeah, but you've already opened the door. Why even?
No, I know you haven't. You're right. If we make alcohol available for children can buy alcohol. That definitely opens the door to adults who can already buy alcohol.
And kids do drink alcohol that are given to by their parents, and those typically are bad parents.
Right, but we've restricted alcohol sales to minors, and adults can still do it. And nobody is.
Minors can still get alcohol easily.
What?
And minors can still get alcohol because
they can, but at a lesser rate than if we just said yes, that you can buy it without being carded or anything. Would you agree with that statement that it's harder for kids to get alcohol if they can't just walk into a store and buy it, no questions asked?
What do you mean? Yeah, they can't buy it, but they can still get it.
They can still get it, but it's harder. That's the question. That's the question I posed. Really is it harder for kids then they can just walk right in and buy it?
And actually, why would a kid go to a store to buy alcohol if you have it in home? There's no point to do it. And you still can't show any data.
You're copping out of the question. The question is it harder?
No, I'd say it's about the same.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
If you want it, you'll get it. No matter what.
That's not true. If that were true, then anybody you'd never see a kid say, I failed at getting it. It would never happen. If you want it, you'll get it. That's not true.
Yeah, yeah, it's
It's
human
not true.
nature. If you want it, you'll get it somehow.
No. Why do these minors need to be drunk? Dangerous job as it is. Minors. Low hanging fruit. Low hanging fruit. Sex with minors is a deep subject. Yeah. No. You are advocating for children to have adult rights across the board.
Damn it! That derailed it for 10
That's your
seconds.
position. Yeah.
Like I said, you still haven't shown me any data of all these kids that are just walking around watching porn, especially in Walmart. Like all the kids I see in the carts that are just staring at the iPads, man. Hardcore.
You're seriously suggesting that young boys aren't watching free porn because they can. You're seriously suggesting that.
No, what I'm saying, if you're a young boy, you don't even need porn. There's plenty of thirst traps.
But you're
out
suggesting that it's not being done. No underage kids are actually going on porn sites. That's. I just want to be clear.
I'm sure,
that's the case.
That's
you're making.
obviously happening, but you're making it seem like every single kid. Where's this hardcore data that's saying all these kids are accessing?
Well, how would we have that data if we can't verify? How could we even have any data on?
Then how can you even suggest a verification? Then
because we see kids talking about bukkake at 7 years old on the internet. Where did they learn that from?
It's
from
true.
You?
It's true. I've had kids in my. There's kids in my kids' kindergarten class who have gotten in trouble and who have had parents talked to and checked out for talking about eating ass and stuff like that at 5, 6 years old.
See, this is something I do blame on the younger generation, because back in the day, adults didn't call it that. Adults called it tossing a salad, and children wanted nothing to do with salad. And so adults could talk about tossing salad all they wanted to, and kids are going, ew, salad, give me a French fry. Okay, that's it. But then somebody got the bright idea, some probably Gen Xer or Gen Z or Gen Yer, said, no, let's call it what it is. And now it's a problem. Before, kids had no idea. They just, because they avoided salad like the plague.
Right. Nevada prostitution is legal. Would you suggest that children should be able to go in there, young teenage boys should be able to go in there and never be asked for proof of 18 or 21, whatever the age is? You saying any teenager should be able to walk into a house of prostitution and just have sex with a prostitute?
Well, verify the age for them, but for porn, it doesn't matter. On fucking online porn, you are just asking for a slippery slope.
I don't see where the slippery slope is. Nobody is suggesting adults should not.
How many kids are accessing all this porn?
Lots.
What's lots? Lots could be 2. Lots could be 1. And the term
lots would be, I would say, every red-blooded young male over at least close to puberty age wants to and definitely will if given the opportunity, any opportunity.
Yeah, to me, this is still just another pointless attempt of avoiding real issues.
The National Library of Medicine, in association with the National Family Services Association of America, produced a study over 10 years, which said that, let's see here, children aged 10 to 12, 19% were exposed to pornography by that age, 25% of 11 to 16-year-olds in the UK, and up to 60% and 84% of 16 and 17-year-olds in Australia, respectively. So, and in the U.S., it was lower at 7% of 10 to 17-year-olds in the U.S. were exposed. So it really just depends. And in Taiwan, it's 70%. So,
I'm not. Ian, can you elaborate on this question? Because I'm not really sure I understand the gist of it. How about the slippery slope of letting the shit double shit. That's not part of my confusion here.
Just
Continue
because
without
he
some
wrote, just
simple
because he wants to
regulations.
give two shits. He gives two shits. That's why
I
he's
guess.
saying it like
Well,
that.
you guys, can you make head or tail of what the real gist of this question is? How about
I
the
think
slippery
he's saying,
slope?
what about the slippery slope of letting things go without simple regulations?
What's the
Just letting
question?
things in general. Like, I think he's meaning in general, like guns, porn. I mean, really anything you can apply that to.
I'm for having children be not allowed to have adult rights on just about everything that is considered adult behavior. Children are children, and yes, parents must take responsibility for their children's behavior. But we know that you can't be with your children 24/7, not in today's society.
Okay,
or
that's
in this
we
world.
can. Parents cannot be with
I'll
their
be right back,
children
guys.
24/7. Cool, Ron. Parents can't be with their children 24/7, but that's the reason why they invented Elf on the Shelf and Santa Claus and a vengeful, all-knowing, all-watching God, so that so the kids would be scared to misbehave. You know, that's why they invented those things. So you can say to the kid, "Look, I can't be with you all the time, but when I'm not watching you, Santa is. The Elf on the Shelf is. God is. Your dead grandparents are watching you. Okay, the Easter Bunny is watching you. So please, those 8 hours when I cannot be with you, know that you're being watched, and they will report back."
I think they figure out that that's not true by 7 or 8.
Some of them do. Some of them do. Some of them take a little longer.
Pauline Nichols from Houston, Texas, is watching us live. She's part of the state that is directly affected by this ruling.
She's washing us. She's not. She's washing us. See, and if she washes, she has to dry us, or we'll wrinkle.
Yeah. I'm just curious, Pauline, if you want to weigh in on this. We're talking about the Supreme Court ruling on Texas's age verification for pornography use, and it basically based on the Texas law right now. Now, I definitely understand the individual persecution of one site doesn't make any fucking sense at all. To see, well, we're just going to shut down Pornhub. Well, that's one business, but I don't know what the number of, Stephen, if you want to look this up, the number of actual porn sites that are out there, pornography sites are out there. I'm going to estimate it's probably in the millions and that's just off a wild guess.
Are you counting fan-only pages?
Huh?
Are you counting, was it OnlyFans or was it OnlyFans or fan-only?
I don't know. On those are private sites that you're allowed to do whatever you want, right? Basically.
No, I'm just saying, are you counting them as porn sites?
I'm not.
Okay, so the number of verified, authenticated pornographic websites is at least 4 million. However,
4 million.
The number of pornographic websites that are either unsanctioned, unregulated, blah, 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 about 42 million.
42 million. Yeah. So that just
Matt did his homework.
That,
Matt did his homework before class.
Well, not really. I was just a wild guess. But here's the thing: shutting down one site is definitely selective prosecution in that case, and I don't see how Pornhub, or if they're alone in this, or if there's a couple more like Pornhub that are being selected for this, how they don't have some kind of suit against the government saying you can't just target one company. You got to either target them all or none of them. That doesn't make any sense. What did we do? You got stock in the other companies? Is that? I mean. It seems like there's a vendetta against just a few people, a few companies out there that are all doing the same thing. It doesn't.
I mean,
and 4 million, like and you're only.
When you Google, like I said, when you Google the sites, like just Google porn site, they all come up. And like I said, only the big ones, Pornhub, a couple others, don't work. The rest load up like nothing's wrong.
To GD's point, do those stats include things like, because you said unverified, those could be OnlyFans or whatever, fans on whatever that
well,
is.
the
like
OnlyFans itself is one site, but it's, for example, it's like when you go to Wix, you know how you can create a custom site? You can make an adult site on there if you wanted to.
Right.
So, I mean, they just said it literally can vary, but the ones that are registered, like, as adult sites to like GoDaddy or whatever else, about 4 million.
All right. Well, I think we could put this subject to rest for a while, but it's clear that Ron and I are never going to agree on this. I do think basically our difference comes down to should children be able to have all the rights adults have, and that's
I think
adults don't even have all the rights adults have.
That's a different argument, different situation to talk about. I am for freedom for consenting adults. That's not what my argument is. We shouldn't let kids gamble. You shouldn't let them buy alcohol. You shouldn't let them buy porn. When I was a kid, sure, you could go to the porn theater, but you had to at least get fake ID, and and you would get rejected if your description didn't match or whatever on it. It made it harder. And I think making it harder for kids to engage in dangerous or bad behavior is always a good thing.
At the end of the day, you both had really good points, and you guys both are right on a lot of it. It's just there has to be some meeting in the middle, I think, for anything to happen. Because a lot of the country is very much on where Ron is with, if you trample on a little bit of freedom, you're going to start trampling on the law, which he's not wrong. It is a slippery slope. But to where you said, without some regulation and control, an issue. So I think until we can find a middle ground, we're just going to have to understand that you guys will have to agree to disagree.
The middle ground is let consenting adults have full freedoms on anything they want.
So at the end of the day, I think we're just going to have to agree to disagree.
Your internet's getting worse. I don't know what you could do to use your phone as a hotspot.
We all agree on, and that's something we all agree on. Your internet is getting worse.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Well, that came through all right.
Well, at least you united us, Steve. At least you united us. You brought us all together, agreeing on one thing. Your internet sucks.
Yeah.
Back now to you, Alex. No.
Yeah, but that's what makes it good. That me and Matt can disagree, and we can still get along with
I can get a ghost gun and make it into an automatic weapon and come shoot your ass.
Because we don't give a shit about guns. Do whatever you want here in this.
I don't know anything about ghost guns, but it's kind of weird. They're saying what I looked up was they're guns without serial numbers on it. Now, does that mean they were manufactured with serial numbers and they were scraped off?
That's a myth. A ghost gun is a gun when you pull the trigger, it goes boo, 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 boo. Those are ghost guns.
Ghost guns are generally guns that are purchased. Because, like in Indiana, for example, you don't even have to register a weapon, but it's really just a gun that has the serial number taken off.
So taken off, not like Smith and Wesson purposely made guns without serial numbers.
If they get caught doing that, the whole company gets shut down. That's not
where do they come from. So these are legally bought serial numbers, get scraped off, and then they're sold on the black market for the express purpose of committing crimes. They're
generally bought legally, but then stolen or found, and then and they get the numbers scraped off. And then they get
the only reason for scraping the serial numbers off is to make them untraceable, meaning you have criminal intent behind it, right? Or not?
Yes. Yeah, it's only done with criminal intent involved.
So why would anybody? Because we talk about this, the Second Amendment people. Why would they be against criminal guns? Because once you scrape the serial numbers off it becomes for criminal intent. What is their argument for saying no? We should allow guns without serial, untraceable guns to be used for any criminal intent. What is the argument they make?
My theory is that if they want to be able to defend themselves against the government, and then the government not find out who retaliated by tracking the guns and stuff back. That's just a theory. I have no real idea.
Well, if it matters at all, because we have gotten to a point in life where we have odds makers now making odds on Supreme Court decisions, and you can bet on that fucking. All the odds are saying that the Supreme Court will side with the ghost guns and the against the ban on ghost guns, and that we should be able to have guns with no serial. We should be able to get a gun legally or illegally and scrape the serial numbers off it so it can't be traced. And I'm just wondering who, if they got. Let me just finish the question here, and then I'll listen to you. If that's the case, who's making the argument? The NRA is making an argument, I guess. Somebody is making an argument to the Supreme Court in favor of allowing guns to have their serial numbers scraped off. Go ahead.
Okay, one, I as much good as I guess the serial number does on a gun, it doesn't help with anything. Because in states where you don't have to register the shit anyway, in Indiana, I've never had to read the serial number off a gun in my life. Whether I was purchasing it, selling it, ever. I've never had to read it off in my life.
So then why is this even an issue? Why would this even be an issue then?
Because I think the biggest reason I think is something that Ian brought up is if they okay a ghost gun thing, that allows 3D printers and those who build guns at home to be able to do so legally without any repercussions. Because the 3D printed gun thing is a gray area because yes, everything you need to make them is legal to get and purchase with no issue.
Right.
But like in Indiana, you can go to a yard sale, buy a handgun, no background check, as long as that person doesn't willingly know that you're under 18, they can sell you the gun.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the big issue is either way because it doesn't stop anything.
Right. Well, if what you're saying is true, and this is what confuses me, if scraping if nobody can trace the gun anyway, you're saying it's like impossible to trace that gun. Why would they even bother scraping the numbers off? Why not just leave them on?
Well, it's not impossible to trace with the serial numbers.
It just makes it harder.
Well, then you guys have it makes it harder.
So the reason you would scrape off the serial numbers would be, for example, if let's say I'm going to kill my wife, but I'm stealing the gun from my father-in-law, and then I throw the gun in the river, I don't want them to find that gun and be able to connect it back to me or him. So they'd scrape that off.
Right. So doesn't that go against the argument that the serial numbers don't do anything? Because that's the blanket statement you made.
Because all the serial number does is it will link you to the person who bought it from the manufacturer or the gun store. But here's the thing. If that gun gets stolen from that one person, right, and then it changes hands a dozen times, it doesn't matter who that gun belonged to initially by the time it gets to number 12. See what I'm saying? So the serial numbers at the end of the day don't do a whole lot. So
right, they don't do a whole lot.
The thing is,
they don't do a whole lot is a different argument than they're totally useless, though.
Well, I'm not saying they're totally useless, but they do next to nothing. You get one link in the chat, and that's all you get. You don't get.
You modified your position there within this argument, though, because you did start out by saying they're totally useless. It's almost a direct quote.
Well, let me ask you this: what good does it do to know who initially bought the gun if that gun's been passed around for 5 years? It does nothing.
Well, not every gun is passed around for 5 years. See, that's the one.
If it's stolen, though,
in that case, I would agree with you that it becomes extremely difficult to verify chain of custody of that gun, who might have had access to it, where you got it from, all that stuff. I definitely agree with you. I'm just saying you modified your position. You made a blanket statement that they're completely useless, and then you.
My apologies. It's next to useless. Because, like I said, even in Indiana, let's say you go and buy a gun from a gun store, right? You go to
How about this? We modify one more step where they're next to useless in a wide number of cases, not in all cases.
Let's set it that then.
Okay.
Well,
I will agree with you.
Because even if you buy a gun legally with that serial number, you go to a gun show and you sell it. That chain of ownership, it ended with you anyway, even if one person buys it.
So why has this risen to the level of the Supreme Court to decide if it is inconsequential, as you kind of suggested is? Why would it even be an issue?
It's a diversion tactic. They're trying to look like they're doing something to crack down on guns, and this isn't going to do anything. I'm definitely in Ron's court when I agree that they're not doing anything to do anything with guns, period. Because this is literally the least pressing issue with guns right now. Like the serial number, really, that's what we're arguing about. Like we're not talking about ease of access, we're not talking about ease of purchase, we're not talking about anything else that matters. We're just talking about the serial number. Like it's
I know why I didn't remember the case that they're hearing. I'm sorry, GD. Go ahead.
No, just everybody knows that guns don't kill people. Serial numbers kill people.
100%.
That's yeah.
You ever had to read those things? They're so long, tiny.
All right. The third case is about gender affirming rights for minors. And again, the odds are that the Supreme Court is going to go against gender affirming care for minors. Basically, it encompasses a whole range of things from hormone therapy to actual surgery and all those things for children under 18.
Yeah, I'll die on that hill.
Who's bringing that case? I want to see. It's also not just the cases. It's also who's bringing the cases. Who? Because as far as gender affirming care goes, the people on the right, the super conservatives, the shit that they're believing is outrageous, and especially stuff like Trump saying that kids are going to school in the morning and coming home opposite gender from surgeries that they're getting in school. So Matt, I see you shaking your head, and
I never had any surgery done in school. I never had anybody suggest I have surgery done in school.
That's because you probably had one of those backward schools, but a lot of schools are advanced now, and they have like really, really good biology labs.
Yeah, I mean, schools are for shootings, not surgeries. God damn it.
Yeah, silly.
But
no, I think the whole gender. Listen, the fact that a person goes through how many changes from kindergarten to high school, right? And you're gonna tell me at any of those stages, you're gonna listen to a kid and be like, "Oh, you want to cut your dick off and grow boobs? Cool, let's do that. Sure, let's do that."
It's never that simple.
So fucking.
It's not that simple.
Gross.
I am family and friends with a number of people who've transitioned from male to female and female to male. And so the decisions are never that simple. It's not black and white. It doesn't happen overnight. These decisions are years in the making usually.
Not at school? You think you don't? So if I send my grandson to school, I don't have to worry about him coming home, my granddaughter? Is that what you're saying?
Not until high school. Not until high school. No, the thing is that even if a child were like, let's say 6 years old and says, "Dad, I don't think I'm a boy anymore. I'm a girl." Okay. He wouldn't, even if that kid was that definitive and that parent wanted to, that surgery would not take place like that day, that year, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, you gotta go through psychological testing and all sorts of shit. And you're right, Dee. It's not that clean and simple as people make it. Like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna
it's
the only thing that's really simple is like maybe a boy that's starting to wear dresses and shit like that. That's the simplest maybe aspect of it, but the rest of it is extremely complicated.
I'm not saying it's that easy of a decision, and I know it's not. I know it's not something that people just jump to, and I get that. But when there are situations, and you see it in the news all the time, where you see in places where kids are going to school and being given, not gender drugs, but hormone drugs, or they're being given pamphlets about gender reassignment surgery, and they're being given those in middle school because they go to the counselor and they're like, well, I don't, and they start telling them how they're feeling and that they want to start, they're feeling this way.
This sounds like,
and they go heavy in on it.
This sounds like the same crap when they were talking about students were being taught to use litter boxes because they thought they were cats and dogs. And
I've never heard anyone say that kids are being taught to use litter boxes. Oh,
okay.
Have you never listened to Rogan?
Well, no. Look, I think there was one instance where I think a high school kid brought a litter box to school. I think is the only thing I ever saw happen. But I don't think it got crazy like that.
I'm skeptical
But
even
the
of
thing
that.
is, if you go back to the first story, the actual story, what happened, it is nothing like what it evolved into. And that's
Right.
what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the stuff that you're hearing, these stories, I think that's just, it's like, what's the game telephone? When there's an actual thing that happened, there's nothing like the thing that people are talking about or equating it to.
I've
You
heard
know,
it from trans people directly, though, is what I'm saying. I'm not just saying on the news, though. I've heard it
You
directly.
heard what? That they were doing kitty litter boxes for kids who identified as cats?
No, not the kitty litter thing. No, my best friend's sister from grade 6 to senior high school was seriously considering transitioning to a man, and in 8th grade was given pamphlets on what to ask for from the doctor as far as what verbiage to use. Like, if you are looking at transitioning to a male, these are things you need to ask for. These are things that you need to look out for. Like, it was an informational pamphlet on safety and what to ask for. She got it in 8th grade. She got it from John Middle School in Mishawaka. So
okay,
it's a real thing that's happening.
The way you started your argument, you made it sound like they were getting the actual drugs for the treatment and not pamphlets.
No, you hear right wingers talking about how kids get drugs at school all the time, but that's not a thing I've ever heard that's actually happened. No, but a lot of information gets passed around though, and I think a lot of it's
passed around. Information should be passed around. Now I'm saying and not only that, the pamphlet should be given to the parents as well. I'm not saying to that, but I'm just saying like all the parents, so you don't out the kid. Like
because they want to keep it from the parents of the kids involved too, you know. But I agree. I think it's something that should, if they're going to pass it out, though, it should go to everybody, not just because it just when it comes out, it always looks a little bad when you find out about it, because it could be something they're telling everybody. But it seems like that.
I'm not saying give the pamphlets to every child. I'm saying like at the beginning of the year, give the teacher, the parents, say these are the things that are going to be, whatever, sex education. If they're doing phys ed, we would like for them to take showers or whatever it is. The policy, just let all the parents know up front. Okay, and then the children can still have their privacy if an individual child was to go to a counselor. Okay, then it's up to the parent to discuss those issues with the child. If the child has issues, or if the child gets to a point where they could be harmful to someone else, then you let the parent know. But if a child is just thinking these things, or having doubts, whatever.
Well, here's what I'm confused about, and I'm going to look it up right now. I'm going to put this question out. Maybe you guys know, but whoever is for kids being able to have sex change operations, are they saying that the kids should be able to make those decisions on their own without their parents being involved? I don't know if that's the case. I'm looking to see if I can find that.
Okay, I think another question that needs to be asked: if say this one school is putting that out, are they actually teaching sex education in that school?
Right.
That's what I want to know, because like all this right wing propaganda is like this is happening, but are they actually talking to the kids about sex? I would guess probably not, because we've all came up through the public school system, and sex ed was terrible. That's why you need access to porn. I mean,
we had when I had. That's why you need access to porn, so we can learn about deviant sex. We had literally one class, like not a semester class, a one period class of 45 minutes on sex education when I was in high school, and it was just the most ridiculous thing. We learned about periods.
It was terrible, right?
We learned about periods. That's what we learned about in that 45 minutes. What a period was.
So our sex education in my high school was much more comprehensive, and I mean it was, and none of that, they weren't afraid to address almost anything, because when I asked about, they were talking about the spreading of sexual diseases, and I could look around the class and I could see these questions popping on people's heads, and people the kids were afraid to ask questions, and so I started asking the hard questions. Like I think the first question I asked was, can that happen during anal sex? And everybody's like, holy shit. And the teacher was like, okay, let's go there. Let's talk about it. And then the other kids started opening up. Okay. And at that
Opening up
point,
what?
Their mouths and asking
Oh, I thought you
questions.
meant
They
their
were no
anus.
longer.
I'm sorry.
What's that mouth do, kid?
You're talking about anal sex, and you said they were opening up. I just assumed opening up their anus.
What school did you go to?
Well, you just said I went to the one where opening up means opening up, and you were talking about anal sex. Opening up is opening up.
I'm talking about their minds and their mouths.
Well, you could have said
to
that.
Ask questions.
Opening up their minds would have been much more clear.
I thought I prefaced it by saying people were afraid to speak up, and once I asked that question, they opened up.
See, but you're talking about anal before that, so opening up.
We had 2 sex classes. The one was like in 5th grade. They'd get all the kids together, and they did the awkward, your body is changing right before you go into middle school. Then somewhere around 8th grade, or no, I think in 9th grade, then it was a terrible sex ed class.
All right, here's they don't really answer my question. Is should these kids are they? It's about the biggest case on the court's docket involves Tennessee's ban on gender affirming care for minors, including puberty blockers and hormone therapy. It doesn't say whether the parents are, because if you know what, I think if a parent says, I want my kid to have access to this, I really feel like, these are the same people who don't want you saying you can't, who want to say you shouldn't, the government shouldn't be involved in whether you spank your kid, but the government should be involved in whether you allow your kid to have, it's just inconsistent. But it doesn't say where the parents' involvement is. Can a kid just go to school and say, and before they've actually even reached puberty, say, I want hormone blockers. I don't want to, or hormone therapy, or puberty blockers. I don't want to go through puberty. Is a kid making that decision? Parents making that decision? They're not making that clear at all. I guess
Also, I want to know who's bringing that case. And also
Tennessee, the state of Tennessee's legislature has passed a ban on gender affirming care. They're making the case that they should do it. The Justice Department is arguing that the ban violates 14th Amendment and equal protection.
Okay, well, God bless them. I hope
God bless who?
The Department of Justice. I hope they win.
All right. Yeah, I would be curious just to see what that law says, because if the parents, it's weird, to make any kind of decisions about these kind of things before puberty, right?
And not only that, but you have to take things as individual cases. I mean, there are actually cases where people use hormone blocking drugs, but not for anything to do with gender, but to help slow or curb the development of certain diseases. Okay, it's just like all abortion, just like the abortion pill is used for more than just abortions, and birth control pills are used for more than just birth control. And right. Viagra is used for more than just having a hard penis. There are other there are other purposes for some of these procedures and drugs.
Right.
And they want to block them across the board because it offends their personal sensibilities.
Yeah, and they won't even, they're not even going to hear the Texas abortion case for the emergency rooms.
Yeah. That the only way that it's going to be resolved, the abortion issue, is if it's codified into law, where it's not just a Supreme Court decision on one case or any of those kind of. We need codified law.
But just remember, the Supreme Court has made bribery essentially legal too. That you can bribe.
Technically, they're saying bribery is wrong, but tipping is legal.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying. Gratuity is illegal. Bribery is wrong.
And if you're a Supreme Court judge,
they made it real hard to prove bribery. I mean, you have to catch them on tape with a video and 9 witnesses. I think you just, evidence isn't enough.
Can we talk the rumor about Trump?
Which
Which
rumor?
one?
The one that the reason he won't release his medical records is because he has dementia. He has.
Oh yeah, I don't think that's a rumor. I think that's the truth.
Well, first of
I
all,
think it's the
let me
truth,
just
too.
say this. Let me just say dementia cannot be completely ruled in. It cannot be an affirmative without an autopsy, meaning you have to be dead in order to. You can have doctors say, "Well, we suspect dementia," but you cannot. There is no definitive diagnosis of it until after you pass and they do a brain
So
autopsy.
you're saying that Ruth and that other guy were just trying to help us get a clean diagnosis? Wasn't it
Yes,
Ruth and
that's what I'm
Ryan?
saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Ryan Wesley. I can't
But
remember.
of course, and here's the thing:
my grandmother was diagnosed with dementia.
not completely until after her autopsy. There's not, as of now, they can't really diagnose that without doing a full brain. They can say, "I completely suspect it. We're going to put her on dementia medication." Her doctor can say that, and that's probably the case in
No,
some.
she had dementia because there's different stages, and you could, like, when they first diagnosed her, like, yeah, it wasn't bad, but as they explained, it's like, time will time will work itself
I'm
out.
talking about Alzheimer's dementia, by the way. When I'm talking about autopsies and,
Oh, okay. I'm talking about just like not the all time, just plain old dementia.
All right. But
dementia classic.
But here's the thing with the Trump thing. I think it's pretty clear from anybody with a rational mind that he has definitely got at least cognitive decline. There is no doubt, if you look at the man's behavior, that he can't finish sentences. He's all over the map. He can't even focus on what he was saying 2 seconds ago. He loses and he never ever says, "Geez, what were you talking about? I forgot." Never any of that. He just keeps going and can't find his way back, like hands on Gretel.
Here's my thing. This is my problem with it. When President Biden had his episode on the debate stage, his cognitive decline was like, and it seems like nobody had any doubt they had cognitive decline. Only his most loyal people said, "No, he's fine. You should see him at work. He's fine. This is just a bad debate." Everywhere else, he had cognitive decline. Trump displays much, much worse signs. So if Biden, by public opinion, was in cognitive decline, Trump is in a cognitive freefall.
There's no doubt that this is and you know what, this is why I need to get off Twitter, because there is no doubt that these people who are they have given Trump cult leader status where nothing he can do is wrong, and they refuse to believe any negative news about him or any negative evidence about him. They refuse to even accept that that's the case. So if he says the Democrats are controlling weather, the Democrats are controlling weather. Don't question it. Trump says it's true. If he says, FEMA is diverting money away from disaster relief, don't question it. Trump says it's true. In fact, repeated over and over again, because Trump says it's true. There is no doubt that because one side can say, you're talking to Democrats looking at Joe Biden, yes, he had a cognitive decline. I think I was saying that before he even decided to run for president way in the past. But for people who see Trump and just refuse to even acknowledge any of the evidence, that there's no doubt that they're completely brainwashed to the fact that this man is their fucking orange messiah. There's no, he can say anything and they will go along with it. So, I mean, but what I was going to say is he has doctors in his pocket who he can get to say whatever he wants them to say. And this is how deep this cult is a doctor will go against his own training, his own oath, and sign medical reports that will say that he's 6'3", 215 pounds, and in great shape. I mean,
honestly, I think when a doctor does that, okay, especially when you can see what Trump is, when it's obvious that the doctor's lying, honestly believe that whoever's in charge of the AMA, is that who it is? The American Medical Association. They should yank that motherfucking doctor's. If they don't yank his license, at least investigate him because he's practicing bad medicine. Okay,
It's kind of like
That's
a thin blue
simple.
line with the cops, though. Doctors don't like to out other doctors, like cops don't want to.
Whoever's in charge of the AMA. I mean, I realize they have to be medical professionals, but they have to police their own. If they don't police their own, then somebody else is going to have to do it for them. And I'm sure they don't want the government doing it. So if they want only good doctors, if they want their liability insurance to go down, weed out the quacks. You know, help yourselves, and help the people at the same time.
So, but coming back to what Ron said, can we address the rumor? I don't know. I've been thinking Trump has had that Alzheimer's dementia for at least the last 6 years. But I think even going back before he was elected the first time, I don't think that's like news to anybody who doesn't.
Yeah, I think it's just more picking up steam now because, like, you know, every rally, because everything's out there now. So, like,
the fly shit yesterday. Did you see the fly shit where these flies, they're so aggressive. They're gonna get out of here. He was losing it, and somebody said, if you've ever been in a bar at 2 o'clock in the morning, you've seen this behavior. That's what he looks like, an old drunk on a bar stool, just fucking yapping shit out.
Yeah, and at those rallies, like his speech and stuff is definitely slowed down, and the slurring has become more. So, is it a mental thing? Is he like the drugs that he's on?
I think it's a combination of two things. I think he's losing. I think he's lost his mind, but I also think that voice thing. I think he's trying to fake sincerity and fake harmlessness, and then try to pretend he's being thoughtful. That's why he does this, the little lean, go like, the children. You need to think about the children.
There's always been talk too about the way that he stands is a indicator of something wrong too.
Yeah.
He's fat, can't hold his weight up.
Now that leaning forward from both heels thing, if you spend as much time as I do in a nursing home and are around people who clearly have cognitive decline, that's rampant in nursing homes. If they're not in a wheelchair and they're standing and they're leaning forward on both legs like that, it's pretty much, you can bet this guy's going to be a little bit toast on the mental.
And I'm also starting this rumor that the bulletproof glass in front of Trump, that they got it into a concave shape, so it makes him look thinner, like a funhouse mirror. he's actually much fatter than that. They just got it bent so that he looks thinner.
And you know what? Going back,
I believe that
bulletproof, and it's not really bulletproof.
Going back to back to Butler, that is not a show of strength. If it was a show of strength, you would go out there without any glass in front of you and with the same Secret Service detail that you had the last time. That is a show of strength. Or take your old ass into the inner city with no bulletproof glass around you and that same Secret Service detail. Show us you're really strong, old man. Do it.
Well, I don't. At this point, I really, really don't want him assassinated at all. I mean, that would just make him a martyr.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't think he gets a poetic death like that. It has to be something dumb, like falling down the stairs, or like an Elvis death on the toilet.
I would welcome that if at all.
I feel like it's going to be something like that. He's going to lose. Going to tear him up because he's not going to be able to fight it, and they're going to find him in Mar-a-Lago sitting there with a young Taiwanese
I know
boy.
This is not a popular, or you guys aren't going to agree with me. I do feel like if he loses, if November, whenever they finish tallying these things, if he loses, I do think he's going to flee. I think he will run. I don't see him. I could see him still trying to cause havoc and make people riot and do like another January 6th thing, but I don't think he's going to do that from a domestic location. I think he will, because he's supposed to be sentenced right after that, and he doesn't want to go. He can't picture himself in jail.
Yeah, I mean, guess he might. It's a good call.
But can he flee? I mean, didn't he have to hand over his passports to New York?
They could take his plane and freeze all his assets. I mean, the IRS can do whatever the fuck they want.
Right.
Especially with King Kamala. King Kamala is not the same as King Biden. King Biden is like he's like I don't want to do that. But King Kamala used to be a prosecutor. She was like, no, he's going to flee. We're going to take his shit.
I saw this great video where this guy kind of like just his opinion, and I forget the guy's name, but he kind of mapped it out. He said his thoughts were that if Kamala wins in the election and it's like a big win, he said probably what will happen, the Republicans will abandon Trump because he doesn't have power anymore. He doesn't really have access to future power. There's nothing that he can really offer at this point. And so the rats will abandon the ship because they'll see it. This is their time to get away from him. And his thought was he thinks that he may flee to Russia. He may wind up in Russia.
Well, I don't disagree with that, but I disagree with the fact that it will be a fast thing. I think some people, the Jim Jordans of the world, will be slow to abandon Trump. The Mike Johnsons of the world will be very slow to abandon Trump. There's so much they've created an identity around him. Like, they forget about the Republican Party. Again, the Republican Party is gone. The identity they have is, I'm a Trump guy.
Yeah. Well, his point is that because Republicans know power very well and how power operates, they'll see him as like, this is a guy that can no longer offer power.
I get it. I totally agree with that. And I think a lot of them will do it quickly, but a lot of them also will drag their feet really slowly, But here's the thing, just addressing the passport thing. He does have his own private jet and countries that will welcome him without a passport. There are definitely countries, just to stick it to the United States, to say he's a felon on the run. We got him here. No, we're not going to extradite him. We will.
But
Venezuela will gladly accept
to take off. His plane has to get clearance to take off. So, I mean, it's just
theoretically.
A phone call.
Theoretically,
just a phone call to airports. He can't take off.
Theoretically.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. Who's to say he doesn't throw? Hey, give $100,000 to the guy on the ground. Give $100,000 to the guy in the tower. I need clearance to take off now.
Yeah, he can run. Hitler could
run. You know what I'm saying? He can get out of here so easy. He has the resources.
It's going to be with one of Elon Musk's planes. It's not going to be one of his planes or a yacht.
Yeah. It's whatever. I think he will definitely. I don't see him surrendering himself under any circumstances. It would be really not a pleasant optic for the Justice Department to go in there and have to have like SEAL Team 6 backing them up to escort him off the property and all that kind of stuff. But I do think he's going to run.
What if he's not going to run? What if instead he does have this medical prognosis and he's saving it? Because if he loses and they try to send him to prison, then he's going to be like, whoa. I need to be at home and, for medical reasons, and they try to do something like that. That could be a possibility. I mean, because this is the thing, like you said, he exhibits all the signs of an old guy losing it all in his head.
Right. Yeah.
He does. Way he talks, way he acts, way he speaks, way he walks, everything is dead on. So I mean, he might have that in his back pocket as a gotcha.
Yeah, but that relies on the court system, I think he at this point,
rich white guy.
Yeah,
I do see him fleeing, but I don't think he would go to Russia.
Yeah, I think he'd go to Venezuela. He said. And sometimes he does tell the truth on occasions like this when he said, I will go to Venezuela and spend the rest of my days on the beach. It sounds like a plan, not like
It sounds
he's
like a
just.
plan, but it's not a very good plan because he would get harpooned. He'd be mistaken for a whale. I mean, they would say, "Look, there's a beluga," and there's no rules against hunting.
Listen,
I think
he's
wherever
got
he
some
goes,
He's got some Nazi friends down there. They're gonna be his neighbors. They're gonna fish until he's dead. It's fine. That's what he's planning on.
I think if he were to leave, no matter what, uh, the Russian is coming for him, and I think he knows that. No
Yeah.
matter
Once Putin
what
has
country,
no more use for him at all, or Putin's got no. He's
and Putin sees him. This is the guy that failed me. He could not execute the plan,
Right,
and for somebody like Vladimir,
That's
like,
why he's so scared and doing things like there is nothing. People say, well, he wouldn't have somebody killed just to stage an assassination attempt. There is no bottom for him. There is nothing he wouldn't do. And yesterday, I'm not sure if you guys are even aware of this, at his rally, he basically said that it was dangerous for people who support Harris to identify themselves in public.
Saw that.
This is a real dangerous thought. Because last night as I was driving home, I noticed there's not a lot of president signs on people's lawns. Usually you would see president. I saw one or two Trump signs. I see on the other side, I see local Congress race signs on their front lawn. Nobody's got presidential signs on their front lawn. People are at a place we're afraid to say, who we are and who we support.
Actually, in my neighborhood around here, you will see Trump signs. You will not see not one Biden sign, not one Biden, Kamala Harris bumper sticker, Harris Walls bumper sticker. You won't see any of that around here. But you will see Trump signs, huge fucking Trump signs. I mean, like 40 foot by 12 foot. Sitting up in fields.
I saw one yesterday, one Trump sign, and I have to admit, I did think I would love to go up to that guy's door and say, "Trump has just told you to attack me." I don't know if you've known this, but I'm not voting for him. Are you going to attack me?
Like in our area, there's a couple houses that have Trump signs, but like certain parts of the county you go, like out definitely in the rural areas, you'll see more Trump signs, and you'll see those houses where they're fucking covered in all sorts of Trump flags and like Democrats, no. It's like that's a guy that doesn't get invited to parties. And I think I even told you guys when we were up in Cortland, New York, the Airbnb we were staying at, the lady was in her front yard with her dog. And she had a Harris sign in her yard, and the guy slows down in his pickup truck. He's like, "You fucking Democrat!"
Wow.
Yeah, and the thing is, it didn't start with it was this was going on way before Trump. It just became more prevalent with Trump. I remember when Kerry was running for president, and at that time I was really against Bush, but not just Bush in principle, but Bush for what he'd done. The bailouts, the invading Iraq, and so my work vehicle, I had bumper stickers all. I didn't have the bumper stickers on my van because it was my work van. My boss asked me to take them off, but I was listening to talk radio, and it was a commercial. It was just a commercial for Kerry. It wasn't like a program about Kerry. It was a commercial for Kerry, and a guy drives by in a pickup truck and he yells, "Nigger for Kerry," and he said, "Nigger for Kerry. I hope you learn to speak Farsi, or are you going to learn to speak Farsi?" And he drove off. And I thought to myself, I already speak a little Farsi, so I guess it's just.
Well, hey, and GD, like I told you, that's what happens when you show up late to a gig.
Yeah. I am. I want to get off this politics stuff, but I am definitely filled with anxiety over this election. I think because we've been talking about it from the assumption that Trump's going to lose this thing. I'm not certain. I don't feel like that's.
No, I'm not.
Guaranteed.
It's up in the air.
Yeah, that's not my assumption. That's my wish. That is my desire. That is my bucket list. No, I don't believe it's in the bag.
Yeah. I think she's got a good chance of winning, but there's going to be some shenanigans on election day, and it's going to be some bullshit. Same fucking bullshit. And I don't know. I like nothing is guaranteed or anything like that. But my hope is that like when people go to vote and when they're there, they're like, do I want insanity or do I want at least fucking calm in my life?
Yeah,
I think that's what it comes down to. And we've already had the sample size. We know what that's like.
Look, I've already been through the no-fly list shit and having my phone surveilled and stuff like that under Bush and our Republican governor, Ehrlich. You know, I've been there. It's not fun. It's not nice. I don't want to go back to that shit under Trump. Okay, now I don't care who's doing the surveillance. I don't want to be part of it. I don't want to be there. But it's more likely to happen under Trump than under Harris.
Yeah. And what about the Republicans that are mad and frustrated at their own party because he fucking bulldozed his way in front of Nikki Haley, which that party really wanted. You could tell they wanted to get behind her, and he fucking railroaded her.
Right. I don't think they comes back to what you just talked about the power thing. I think they are so afraid of him. They are afraid of losing that base and that losing that radical base, the extremists. If they lose them, they feel like there's no chance in winning. So we have to keep Trump, and so it's